Hey guys, Nova Bushido here and welcome back to the channel. And today we're going to be talking about Monster Hunter Sunbreak once again. And we're going to be talking about the community response, more on the negative side, but we're going to be kind of digging down what people are saying and why they're saying what they're saying, how valid some of these things are, and so on. We're going to be talking about some of the concerns people have, and which are quite valid and fair to say. And then we're also going to be talking about, some other parts of this situation as well. This is the last time I think I'm going to be talking about stuff like this, for the meantime at least, because I'm more interested in other stuff, talking about other stuff in general. But I feel like this is important for me to at least explore why people are having these sentiments. So let's get into the video. So I wanted to start this video off with we're talking about concerns and what people are concerned about. But I think if I talk about my other point, which is people having resentment and bitterness towards Rise, will make sense more when I come into the concern part. So that's how we're going to start. So, from what I'm seeing online, and it's not everywhere, it's 100% not everywhere, but what I'm seeing online, there's definitely a lot of resentment and bitterness towards Rise. As going through the game, the journey of the game, its development, people have felt different ways throughout it. These may be due to many different factors, which we'll get into, but as the essence, people have already made up their mind of what they want to do, if they want to buy it or not, or how they're going to feel without even waiting to see what the content has to be and delivered, right? So people have already made up their mind. I've seen this for ages. I'm pretty sure a lot of you have seen this. People have said, they're going to wait until Monster Hunter 6. I've been asking people, well, what could Sunbreak do to make you interested? And they say they've already checked out. They're not interested. They're not. So and when I see those type of responses, I'm like, okay, these people obviously have some resentment or bitterness towards what the game gave them, to make them already feel like there's nothing that could fix that or change that to make them come around. And one good example of this is one big issue for people was rival riding, right? And now they've made rival riding optional, and people thought that would never happen. They said they could never fix rival riding. Making it optional is pretty much the fix that people wanted in general. Yes, I will say in that way you can't mount like the old games, but you can do many other things that you can't in the old games, and if you still want to, you can rival ride optionally. But despite that, people will still find other issues they want to come up with to justify their minds that's already made up. Some of these other things that I've witnessed are things like value for Rise. So people, I know I've seen this a lot, people saying that because it's not end game, they didn't feel like they had to play it as much. It's the least amount of hours they put into a game for Monster Hunter. They feel like they didn't get the value out of the game, and because of this, they feel like they've been cheated coming out of it. Definitely, if you add on to the fact of the story not coming out fully at launch, this most likely had to do with COVID, but it still happened. So they feel even more jaded towards the game as well, and then event quests coming later as well. So all of these things have left people jaded, and they're bitter towards the development for the game and the price they paid for at the launch of the game. That's why I've seen people saying, they're not going to buy base games anymore. They're going to skip, and like I said, to Monster Hunter 6 because of these factors in their mind. They've already made up their mind. Nothing can change it. So these people are like they're non-starters. They're non-starters. They're not involved in the argument. They're not involved in the conversation, and that, like, it's fine if these people want to check out and they don't want to be involved in the conversation, but it's quite obvious to me when I'm seeing these type of people making comments online that they've already checked out and they just here to say stuff just to rattle people or to make to get annoying. And I'm just going to show you one example of what I mean by that right here. Right, here we are on Game FAQs, and we're just going to read out what this first guy says. One new monster, 2 recolors, one of which is straight up stealing from the slot of Ignator. Now, as you can see already, he says one new monster. He doesn't even, state the monster. Sirigios is a very popular monster. If he knows Ignator, he should know Sirigios. Sirigios is a very popular monster, like I just said. He's really well requested, but he doesn't acknowledge that because he's resentful that the fact that Ignator isn't in the game. Also, because fair enough, I will say to people that maybe Magna Almajon does use some of the role of Ignator. I wouldn't say all of it. It's only some. You can definitely see that he has many more moves. He does go in the ground, but because that's what Almajon does originally anyway. It's just now he does it within lava. They were always going to have subspecies for these new monsters, and he has a lot of new moves, right? So 2 recolors is a strange way of trying to dumb it down to say it's just recolors when they add in a lot of new moves. This is subspecies have always existed, and already from seeing these subspecies, they have more new moves than I've seen from most subspecies in the past already. So due to his fact that he's already made up his mind of how he feels about it, he's not giving it a fair judgment of what is actually being added. But like I said, fair enough that Magna Almudron does have some resemblance of what Agnatha does, but he doesn't even acknowledge Aurora Somnicanth, which does have ice. People are trying to relate it to Zamtros because they're ice, but she has mist ice. She's using a lot of mist moves. Breaths. Not many monsters have icy breaths. I don't think any really do. So this is really good. It's a different thing, but not acknowledged. No demo, fair enough. I will say, yeah, there's no demo, so that's fair enough. And big features is swapping out Silk Scrolls in mid combat, something that Aria of Shallow did fucking Game Boy Advance. Yeah, but what does that matter? Just because a game did it ages ago doesn't mean a game can't do it now. That's obviously showing resentment. You can definitely see from him swearing, and then comparing it to Game Boy Advance, trying to diminish what the game's actually doing, and trying to relate it to something long time ago to try to diminish that it's not a feature that actually matters. Obviously, you can say this is a sign of resentment and bitterness towards Rise as a game. Advertising quests like NPCs, like it's something revolutionary. Well, no one said it's something revolutionary. They're just showing you a feature in the game. So why are you trying to play down and also trying to gaslight it, the situation that they're playing it as something bigger? It's just a feature in the game. Something that Monster Hunter said before in Frontier, but not in the main games, and this is going to add a lot to single player people. So a lot of single player people are actually quite enjoying this. See, this is the thing. Let me go to the next one. Malzeno looks cool, I guess. You've seen that, I guess. He's already bitter. He's already resentment about it, about the whole situation. So anything that Malzeno has shown, even though I've seen no one really complain about it, he looks fantastic. He's got the new moves, new everything, crazy mechanics. He plays it down as, I guess, at the end to show that it's nothing amazing for what he expects to see. But like I said, anything good, anything new shown, he doesn't recognize it in anything. But if there's anything from the past, he will say, blah, 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 and not to sow the slot. But he doesn't actually try to even think about anything new and give it a fair judgment. And this is what I'm saying. There's a lot of people who do this type of stuff. They have this type of resentment inside of them about a certain product due to something that they've done to them to make them feel jaded, and they use that and they twist what is actually true and what's actually false in their mind to already make up their ideas of what they feel about a product. They don't use real facts. They don't use real basis of if it's true or not, of if it's reality or not. It's just their headcanon, basically, of how they feel, which is fine. People can feel how they feel, but don't be stupid. Then he goes on to the next point. Don't expect any more announcements. Well, they already said there's going to be more announcements, so that's stupid. You weren't paying attention. Just bought the ring, but honestly, it's better for your money. Well, Elden Ring didn't tell you a lot of stuff about the game. They want you to explore it as you go through the game. So it's weird to compare Monster Hunter to Elden Ring in that way, when Elden Ring didn't explain much before the game. They showed you bits of the game, but they wanted you to explore it and understand the game while you're in it. I understand that it's a new game, it's a different type of game, but still, that's what they did. So the fact that you're saying that is contradictory. So like I'm saying, you see this stuff all the time. People act this way all the time, and it's annoying. And that's what comes out to, like I was saying, my first point, when it comes to bitterness and resentment, there's a lot of that, and it's based on things that even if it fixes, let's say Rise Sunbreak fixes Endgame, let's say it fixes it's already fixed Wyvern Riding, it's already fixed effects, it has really good events, it balances the game well, it has good armor variations, it brings back some small monsters, the large monsters for small monsters. If it did all that, there will still be people who said, nah, they've already checked out mentally in their brain, and they wouldn't even give it the light of day because they've already decided what they've decided, which is a shame. But yeah, that's the first camp of those people. But this is what leads me into the next camp of the more important part, for me at least, which is the people who are just genuinely concerned about what they're not seeing because they expect to see it. Alright, concerns. So a lot of the concerns, like I was saying before, there's things like endgame, value, story, and etc. Because of those things, some people are just genuinely concerned about if you're actually going to see that for Sunbreak, because they expected to see it more in base game, like more content and so on. I've done many videos on this before. base games don't always have a lot of end game features. They have some, like World had quite a lot due to its MMO light type mentality, but some of the older games didn't. But some of the older games made up for that for having a lot of monsters, so endgame wasn't as much as an issue. It wasn't much of a concern at all. Endgame is a big thing because Base Rise had an endgame, but it didn't have enjoyable endgame. It didn't have one that's very replayable, and many armors and stuff to go for at the end of the game, and more to look forward to. So that's one thing that people are concerned of, and I think that's fair enough. People might think, is there going to be an end game and so on? And if there was an end game, these are the type of people that I think they would be excited if there was an end game. How Capcom show an end game through trailers, I'm not really 100% sure yet. They could just briefly say, we've got a lot of content for the end for people to play, but I don't think just saying is enough. They need to show it because they've said stuff before, and people might feel a bit jaded about that. So maybe they need to say a bit more about show a bit more about these mechanics in just some brief ways, with some stuff blurred out so they don't spoil stuff for people. And then it comes to things like events. Events were a big thing for people. Events didn't come until later on in the game, at least a month or so out. And then even then, it was a slow wrap up of one per week, which is quite slow, definitely when you start late. I think they should have definitely had more, but that's not what we're talking about here. We're just talking about the fact that they didn't have it. So these people are concerned about, are we actually going to get good events? Are we going to see a lot of stuff coming for us, post game as well? Because Base Rise might not have had that, and I think that's fair enough. If you're on this camp, that makes a lot of sense. You're just worried about it, and if it does deliver on it, you'll be excited about it. That's good. I think that makes a lot of sense. I think that's a really good way of thinking of things in this way, and not let these initial emotions cloud truth, basically. And that's what a lot of people in the first section, and that person like on GameFAQs, like I showed you, that's what they're doing. And you see that a lot online, which is a bit sad. And then, would the game be easy? That's another fair thing. People might be concerned, would the game be easy? People always were already worried about if the game was easy for them. And now going into Sunbreak, us having switch skill swap, being able to have more switch skills and more wire skills and so on, would that make the game easier in general? That's something to be seen. We don't know yet. It depends. That might depend on the end game. That might depend on monster variations. It might depend on if there's hypers or tempered monsters. Another thing that people might be concerned about. But the things that add on to each other, and if Capcom show all of these, they might not show it beforehand, which is the next section. And they might show it before. They might show it during the game instead for you to see for yourself. But these are genuinely things that people may feel coming out of some of these events, and I think that's fair enough. I understand, and I do believe that Capcom, like I said in my previous video, Capcom do need to show more for these people who are just concerned and they want to see more, to make sure they have enough when they buy the game, or if they buy the game. And I think that's totally fine. That makes a lot of sense. Now, coming on to the last one, people expect to see everything, right? And that's what I'm saying. And in fact, I just looked at GameFAQs and I just saw someone saying, I read a comment saying that people they don't need to show everything straight away. It doesn't make sense. They don't really need to show everything. And someone said, yeah, but that's what they normally do. And I'm thinking, wow. So we're in the state where people are so used to the devs showing everything before the games even come out. We're stuck in this loop of, if they devs don't show enough, then people are thinking there's nothing there. But if they do show it, then people are saying, okay, where's the surprises? Because now when they're in the game, they're like, what's there? So I don't know the answer truly, but I think there's a balance of showing just enough, but not showing all your cards, just so the people can get enough. Now, granted, this is a DLC. It's not the full price of the game. This is about, I guess, a third of the price of the game. No, 2/3 of the price of the game, I'll probably say. So people might be expecting 2/3 of the content, or even more than that. Who knows how much more we're going to get? Hopefully quite a lot. Now, obviously, one thing that's interesting about all of this is the fact that people are saying, well, it's not going to have endgame, it's not going to have this and that because Base Rise didn't have that. Well, at the same time, you can say that. At the same time, you can say, well, G-Ranks versions and Master Rank versions of other games have had this, that, and that. So it's very possible that it could have that. We don't know yet. So us trying to know everything before the game comes out, I don't think that's going to really help the game itself. I do believe Capcom needs to definitely show more, but I don't think we need to see everything at once. It might be better for game devs in general to layer stuff out. But I've said that probably a couple times now. And I think that's pretty much my last point on this topic. But basically, overall, what I'm trying to say, I know this might be a weird video. I'm just trying to dissect what is going on here. Cause I'm seeing so many weird and different things. I know definitely, like my boy Fungus was saying, yeah, you know, it comes out of love, and I think some are definitely coming out of love, sure, but I'm seeing a lot that's not coming out of love. This is resentment. This is bitterness. These are people who feel dishonest and mistreated. It might be due to false pretexts and false knowledge on their part, but they feel it regardless, right? So it's up to them what they feel. But how you act with how you feel is also up to you, and people can disagree with those actions. Basically, they don't have to agree, and I don't agree with any of those people who actually with bitterness and resentment. The people who are concerned generally, and they're just generally saying, you know, what's going on, Capcom? Let me see. Let's show me this mechanic. You know, that's great. But and I think if the game delivers on those points, like I said, the people in the concern part, they'll be on board. But the people who are under resentment, even if the game shows them everything they want and more, they're not going to be on board regardless, because they already checked out, like I said. And that's, to me, I'm like, that's a bit weird. But people are people, right? They can do what they want at the end of the day, and so can I, and that's why I'm making this video. I'm doing what I want. But yeah, guys, you know, let me know what you think below. Let me know if you think I'm being a bit too mean, I don't think I'm being mean, actually. I think I've got it on the top of the head. I try to always keep as objective as possible and truthful as possible. You guys know I've always been true when it comes to stuff on this channel. When it comes to Monster Hunter, other stuff, Nintendo, blah, blah, blah. I will talk about companies that ripped me apart. I've done this many times. In fact, I've already done that to Capcom many times when it comes to Rise, when it comes to the older games, because I've always had issues with Monster Hunter games. I want them to be better and better and better. I've always voiced my opinions on what I don't like and what I do like, and what I love and what I don't like. Well, I already said don't like, but yeah. So I try to keep it real here. We always try to keep it real here. I just wish people out there were real. They have to be. I mean, being real with me is one thing, but be real with yourself of why you feel how you feel, and actually think about it. I don't think people think about it. They don't. Most people don't think about their feelings, man. They don't think about why it is they think the way it is. I mean, like I said before, I've seen it so many times where people say something's wrong, but I don't know what it is. I can't pinpoint it, and I'm like, I know why it is because I'm thinking. You know what I'm saying? I just think people find more. They just put more, you know, thoughts to what's going on. They could definitely come up with a good solution, and I think they feel better. I think they'd 100% feel better, you know, rather than just wallowing in your despair. But yeah, that's me. Thanks for watching, guys, and let me know what you think below. Like the video, and I'll catch you guys next time. See ya.